This video is going to be a little bit more hashtag deep than some of my other ones. Because in those other ones, I'm really saying this is how you do XYZ for your career. But I started to realize that unless you really have that mindset in place, the right mindset, then the other stuff is going to seem like a lot of work and you're not really going to be properly motivated to do it. So that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about social impact careers, what they are, and why I think they are the future. Basically, the no bullshit advice that I think everybody needs to hear. And the first thing is that I really believe that we're undergoing some kind of collective awakening this year. There are a lot of different factors to this. The first one is the massive income inequality that has really been exposed and accelerated in America the last 3 years, 30 years to be clear. We can thank Bernie Sanders, the GOAT, the OG, the man, for really exposing this and bringing it to the center of our attention. But really, I mean, if you've heard Bernie talk, you already know the deets. Like the top 1%, their wealth is just growing and growing and growing, specifically the top 0.1%, and the bottom, half or bottom, even 2/3 of us are really just getting the shaft. Wage stagnation is real, inflation is happening, and our wages have not increased basically whatsoever since the 90s, and people are really starting to feel the effects of that. Kind of in conjunction with income inequality, we have all of this stuff happening with social issues, racial issues, mental health issues just accelerating and exploding recently. We have all of this stuff related to addiction and, not just substance abuse, but online addiction, video game addiction, porn addiction, all of those things. And then the last thing that I think really contributes to the need for social impact careers, the reason why people are starting to wake up, is the fact that we're all realizing nobody in power really cares about doing anything significant in order to actually change what's happening. They want to continue the status quo because it's making them rich. They want to prop up the stock market and the economy using these little short-term fixes like increasing like loans and like debt and stuff like that. But in the long run, of course, like people, when these loans can't be paid off, it's going to be a mess. It's going to explode. Like we all know this. You might be wondering, okay, what does this have to do with my career? What does this have to do with jobs or careers or stuff in general? I will explain. The situation that I just described, it comes down to a lot of moving parts, and it might seem really complicated, but it really does come down to human greed, right? Human mindset. And even though, you and I or other people watching this may not be in positions of power, so to speak, we are still putting our energy out into the world. We still have ripple effects that we create, often unintentionally, and we are, going to potentially change the system. People are really, in my opinion, motivated by two main factors in their careers. And the first one is money. You could also say this is like power or influence or status or, freedom, whatever. But it's money. Like money is what gives you those things. Or it is impact, solving problems, helping people, etc. Of course, you usually have a bit of both. Most people are not just out here working for free or completely money centered. Like they don't want to do things that make them feel like they're bad human beings. But if you had to pick one, like if you just had to prioritize one, I feel like most people, they know at the end of the day what their own bottom line is. So first of all, you should really think about that in your head. Like, which of these two things, money or impact, do I value more? When I talk about careers that make impact, usually you think of people who are on the ground working face to face with other human beings making an impact in their lives, like healthcare workers, teachers, social workers, even people who are working in like nonprofits and humanitarian work, things like that. And of course, like those people are incredibly, incredibly valuable. Like they are kind of the most visible type of social impact work. But really, the point that I want to make in this video is that your social impact work, like your ability to make a positive impact on the world, is not something that's connected to your job title. It's connected to your mindset, your values, and your level of empathy, the way that you operate in this world. You could be the manager of a really huge, epic nonprofit, but you could still be greedy and a terrible person. Or you could be in a career where the social impact maybe isn't like so obvious, like graphic design or social media management, but you could be a really, really generous, socially conscious social media manager. So like I want to be very, very precise here. It's not about your job title. It's about your mindset and the way you approach things. So yeah, like I said earlier, the world is waking up. And when I ask that question, do you value money more than impact? I want you to think within yourself. If the first thing that came to mind was money, well then, are you in a situation where you truly, truly, truly need money? Like it is a matter of survival. It is a matter of being able to continue to support yourself, like as a human being and live. Of course, if you are in that situation, then respect. But I have a feeling that most of us are not in that position. Most of us are in a more privileged position, especially as college graduates. Like getting through college, paying for college is no easy feat, right? So if you are in that position, I want you to ask yourself, like, why do I value the amount that I am paid more than pretty much anything else? You know what I mean? Like, it's not about the money, it's about the power, the status, the influence. Do I feel like I am lacking those things? Am I somehow deficient in those things? If I get those things, like, will I be happy? I really want you to think about the answers to those questions. Really, really soak in and become comfortable with what your motivation is, why you operate the way you do in your career. We're not taught that the real key to happiness, like the actual thing that gives you happiness and confidence and fulfillment, is really having empathy, devoting yourself to solving a problem, and improving the lives of other people. You've probably seen other videos on this or heard about this, how a lot of mental illness, it's from that inward focus. You're always focusing inwards. You're always thinking kind of selfishly, like, what do I lack? What do I need? Me. Whereas when you turn your focus outwards and manage to stop becoming so painfully self-conscious, because it is very painful, then you are kind of distracted in a sense from your pain, but then you have such a huge sense of fulfillment and accomplishment that you feel a lot better about yourself all of a sudden. You're like, wow, I'm an awesome person. Speaking as somebody who was never really that focused on money in the first place, I always knew that I was not going to become a super huge CEO or work at a financial firm. I still feel like I wish somebody had told me this, that somebody had given me this speech when I was a younger person. Because even if you don't personally think that you care about money too much or that you're too self-centered or whatever, it's in the air, it's in the culture, it's all around us. And it's really a cliche to say that change happens from one person, or like the change starts within you. But in this case, I really, really actually do believe that. I truly believe that it starts from you and how you choose to do your thing in the world. So yeah, basically, this is not a video that is meant to dissuade you from doing any particular thing if that thing makes you happy, but it's to really hopefully inspire you to think about yourself, about how you can make a positive impact in the world, how you can continue to educate yourself on the different types of suffering that is going on out there, and to really think, okay, I have this really precious human life. It could have been something else. I could have been in a circumstance where I'm not as equipped to help people. Like maybe I have more obstacles than I do now. But I'm in this situation, and how can I really, really, truly make the most of it? How can I truly make the most of it? So I really hope you got something out of this video. If you disagree with me in any way, I would love to discuss it, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. This is, a little bit different for me, but it's something that I really have a lot of thoughts on and that I care a lot about. I love, thinking about the way that the world is shaped and how that influences people. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate your time. I will see you next Monday.